that has to be like the fastest 30 seconds in the history of fast 30 seconds. What's good, good people? We are back, the Family Bloodline Podcast, yet again. Yes. Give me 1 second. I've got to get this done. Hold on. All right. Got it. All right. So yeah, we are back. Had to take a few weeks off. Pause for the cause. And the reason was family, due to family. And I wanted to make sure that we were able to support our family and our loved ones as much as we possibly could. Needed to make sure I kept my calendar clear and all the other good stuff, so I could support any way that I could, and the rest of the family we could support anywhere they could as well. Had a death in the family, and we just wanted to make sure things were done the way they needed to be done, because that's a stressful time when someone loses a loved one, a mother, a sister, and it's on the heels of less than a year after my mother, her sister, passed. And so, yeah, we were just doing our best to make sure that we, had the space available to take care of our family. So that's where we've been. And then 2 weeks. It was a 2-week, dang. Yeah, 2-week break.
They were close, weren't they?
Yeah.
They were close.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but we back doing it again. And we've got some major topics. I got to make sure I put the disclaimer up and read it. Views expressed are those held by the author and do not represent any other organization, company, corporation, or entity. So, yeah, I just wanted to make sure we started that.
And I love to say that, hey, my views is the views of the Local 1000 president, Richard Lewis Brown. And I'm still fighting to be reinstated. So anyone that sees me and they say, oh, well, he said he was the president of Local 1000, I sure am. If they want to see me in court, please do.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. That's I love it. You bringing that heat. That's heat.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't take courage. When you know that you're in the right and they're afraid to take you back to court, let's do it.
Okay. All right. So how has that been going here lately? You've got some things coming up, but you've also been doing some stuff online lately. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So, I'm still fighting in court. People are mad at me on Facebook. They think I'm transphobic, but I'm not. I'm fighting corruption, and the corrupt leadership of Local 1000 right now, they have transgendered the truth.
Mm-hmm.
They've got people convinced that they're the new leaders, that they have a valid contract, that their election in 24 was valid, but all of that is a transgender truth, and they're following their boss, Mr. Transgendered himself, Gavin Newsom. People don't know he's the governor of California, but he's transgendering the truth, because now he says that maybe trans girls shouldn't compete in girl sports.
Yeah, and isn't that a 180 of what he was saying at one point?
He's transgender, so it's acceptable. So you can say one thing today, then you can transgender it tomorrow and say something different.
I don't know if that's transgendering. I think that's just lying or playing to the crowd.
Again, you're jumping me, because what that is a transgendered liar. But I don't know if he's allowed to do that, because you have regular liars at the state and federal level. But now he's transgendered, going into the lying part of it. So, I think, there's liars and then there's the truth. Okay.
Yeah.
Now the liars know who they are. They're called politicians. But now Gavin Newsom wants to pretend that he's just like you and me. Because he's supposed to be a politician, but now he's transgendered the truth. Because before he said he was all for transgendered boys and girls competing in opposite sex sports. He was all for it.
Yeah.
Now it's different.
I
It's
see.
different. So he's a transgendered liar. And so the leadership of Local 1000, they're transgendered liars.
I
They're
see what
born
you
to
did.
lie, but now they're saying they're telling the truth. So, you're born one way, but now you want to be something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a heavy, makes you think.
Yeah. Those guys, I've got to get in. And this is not an advertisement for Gavin Newsom by any stretch whatsoever. But he does have a podcast, and his podcast right now it's playing very heavily to a really not just a conservative base, but a far right leaning conservative base.
Yeah,
right?
because you're going to hang them out to dry.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I find that weird. Not because he wants to have a discussion, but
Right.
he's simply trying to get that part of support on his.
They're just watching so that they're watching what he's saying so they can use it against him down the road. That's all. Don't. Yeah. When I'm reinstated, they won't have to watch him because he's caused all these fires in California to be out of control because he was cutting funds to Cal State Fire.
Mm-hmm.
It was his leadership, his overall leadership for these last several years, because he's on his second term. He's termed out after this.
Right.
So
right.
He's, transitioning to run for the White House or maybe for a VP. And so he'll say anything and do anything. I mean, if you look back at his past, the man slept with his campaign manager's wife years ago.
What?
Yeah. See, all this is going to come out about him. See, everybody in California, we know this about him.
Oh,
so
wow.
This will come out. And when he was the mayor of San Francisco, he ran people out of union jobs.
Well, I can believe that. But let's go with the last thing you just said. Right. Let's say it's true and you've got all the facts to back it up, so on and so forth. Do you think that people are going to actually care about that? I mean, currently,
no, really. But when it comes to trust, if a person is running for a position,
mm-hmm.
and let's just be honest, women find him handsome, and I don't have a problem with that. So
he's Batman.
You're running for a political position, and all the women find you handsome. Well, not all the women, but a large percentage. And then your campaign manager who's helping you get to this position of power and authority, you sleep with that person's wife. You couldn't sleep with all the other wives up and down the state of California. You had to sleep with the campaign manager's wife.
Mm.
It's the old added theory. When you talk to a woman, she says, well, I know you're no good. So I know you're going to chase all the other women. Just don't put it in my face. And by the way, don't sleep with any women on my street or in my family. Can you cut me that much respect?
Wow.
Okay. He couldn't do that part right. But there's some other stuff about him too. But the thing about him sleeping with his campaign manager's wife, that you can look up online. That's not a big deal.
That's dirty though.
Not yet. But if it's the Republicans coming for you, they're going to come for you.
Yeah. And so the reason why I asked if how relevant that is because first off, let me plug this book my dad recommended to me when I went up to Chicago to see him a couple of weeks ago. Okay. And it's called The Basic Laws of Human Stupidity. And it's a phenomenal. I listened to it when I was traveling from St. Louis to Lee Summit, and I was able to listen to the whole thing during that ride. It's a 3-hour ride, 3-hour ride, and the way it lays out and defines the different axis and graph and types of stupid. It really makes you think, like sit back and think like, oh my goodness, we are in trouble. If you're a person who has some form of intelligence about yourself, right? And the you sit back and you listen and you look at and how this book is laying out stupidity. It's amazing because it makes sense. You see you see things happening and you don't want to just directly say, oh, these people are stupid, right? You make excuses for why they might do some things. Like for example, platforming tariffs or advertising tariffs or praising tariffs when you don't even know the very definition of a tariff yourself. That falls in a separate category of stupid that it's hard to actually put your finger on, right? Because a lot of people will platform tariffs as if they are seriously educated about what a tariff is, or even if not seriously educated about it, at least have a base understanding of what a tariff is. And these, mind you, are people who are generally out of one of the 5 to 10 lowest states in the country. And then you begin to ask questions and probe about how their understanding of a tariff, and you come to find out that they really don't even understand the basic economics of a tariff, but they'll praise it. And one of the biggest things that this book outlines is we never actually give enough. I'm trying to think of how it's actually said. We underestimate stupidity. We always underestimate stupidity because clearly you can't be that stupid. It's generally the saying, like, hey, you know that fire is hot. You're not gonna stick your hand in it. And then you see a person walk up to the stove with the eye on, and they begin to slowly reach over while looking you dead in your eyes, and they touch the hot flame and be like, well, that was kind of hot. No, yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I lead a union that retaliated, tried to remove me, and they have their contract up on the website. There's no period of what it covers from start to finish, and there's no signatures, and they call it their contract. That's a stupid person.
They call it a contract.
So when they did the invalid contract, because I'm the chief negotiator, they ran me out. They hurry up and did a contract. So they put it up, but there's no cover page. So every union, they'll have a contract for their people and for their job stewards. And it'll tell you the start of the contract to the end of the contract, the period. And then you will have the president's name and maybe some vice presidents or whoever important people. They'll sign their names on the inside cover or whatever. So it's official. It's dated. They don't have this. So what you're saying about stupidity, I'll just give you a classic example. And I can give you just tons of classic examples of stupid people. But here's the catch to it in America, in the Democratic Republic. There's not enough smart people to win an election, but there's enough dumb ones. There's enough dumb people.
Yeah, that's one of the things that the book kind of highlights and points out. After you listen to it or read it, you have to sit back and just say, "Oh my goodness, oh my goodness." We underestimate stupidity so much that it's one of the biggest dangers, not just to our society but to the world at large. It really is.
You can take a look at Hollywood. In the last, say, 10 years, 15 years. There's not enough smart people to make smart movies, but there's enough other types of people to create Marvel movies, Marvel comic movies, and horror movies. Enough said.
I'm just saying, and I'm not trying to say that. Yeah, and I'm not saying that I'm the world's leading intelligent person on much of anything, right?
Right.
But I know when not to vote against my best interests.
Listen to this. The Oakland Raiders football team, huge legacy.
Yeah.
The son wanted the city of Oakland to build him a stadium. They said, we're not building you a stadium. You got enough money, build your own. Go take a loan out.
Right.
Raise the ticket prices. He says, fine, I'll go to Las Vegas, they'll build me one. And then the fans of Oakland are so interesting. I ain't gonna call them stupid because they'll be at my door. They're so interesting that they follow out there.
Yeah.
And they did that to St. Louis Rams.
Yeah.
Georgia Frontier passes away. Stan Kroenke says, build me a gigantic stadium. And the city of St. Louis said, hey, we just built a stadium. We're not building another one. He said, fine, I'll take a team and go out to LA and build one. They'll build it for me.
And we'll let them go.
And I'm already a billionaire.
Yeah. That's
why, I give, people talk about Jerry Jones and they rag on him. I give Mr. Jones his credit. That stadium in Texas, he didn't ask the taxpayer. He said, I'll get my money back. I'll build it myself and I'll get my money back.
Man, I was down in Texas. I lived in Texas when that thing was getting built. They raised taxes right in that area directly.
But he didn't ask the city to build a stadium. He built that out of his own money. He didn't. He's one of the few owners who did. He didn't go to the public and ask them to build his stadium.
I don't know. I gotta go back and check because in Arlington.
That's why he's so bossy with it. It's his stadium.
Listen,
because he remember he took a loan to buy the Cowboys,
and
that turned out very well.
Yeah, but the stadium in and of itself, I remember
to build a stadium. If I'm wrong, I'm really shocked because he built his own stadium.
I remember that there was a lot of people that lived in that area in Arlington where the stadium had gotten built, and they started complaining about the taxes going up directly because of the stadium.
May have gone up because the stadium went up, not raised the taxes. But he didn't take money from the city.
Okay, I got you. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but their taxes probably went up so they can afford, so the city can afford to go to that stadium.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. So all these billionaire owners of these sports leagues, they want the cities to build their stadiums for them. But yet these same owners are Republican, not the NBA, but NFL and Major League Baseball. These are Republican owners who believe in a free market until they don't.
Yeah. And so I was hoping Deuce would have hopped on by now.
Yeah, I know it.
Speaking of, the full saying of that is, speaking of the devil, if you talk about him long enough, he'll show up.
I got something for him. Let him come on in. I got something for him.
So I know y'all ain't talking about me now. Hold on.
So I got something for you.
My bad, man. My apologies. I signed up.
Hey.
I had to break free. I'm here. My apologies for my tardiness.
Hey, hold on, Mr. Glass. See, I asked Deuce to come to my podcast. You know what he told me? Mr. Glass?
What?
He said, I don't go to podcasts hosted by dark-skinned black men. I thought you were my brother. I thought we were part of the Confederacy.
Oh, man.
Hold on.
We were going to succeed.
Oh, man.
Create our own way of life.
That's rough.
First of all, I'm glad I never in my life said that, man. Hey, I'm down for all blackness. Kodak black, midnight black, rich black. It's all the same thing.
All right, I'm this season.
Hey, just FYSA, if I drop off, it's because I'm probably getting hit by a tornado.
Oh.
My alerts are going off right now. I've got one of my screens up that's showing the weather. We've got bad weather that's coming through here. So if I fall off, that's what's happened. Y'all keep the party going, and we'll convene at a later date. So, but Deuce, good to have you back, man. We ain't seen you in a couple of weeks. How you been?
Hey, I've been good, man. Been good out here making these, saving money, making money. Happy Liberation Day to you guys.
No, you did it. You said it.
Hey, happy Liberation Day. I think we're all happy to have our money liberated from our accounts, right? So,
that's what's happening.
I know my money was liberated from my retirement account today because the market dropped.
Yeah.
It rises and falls. See, that's what happens when you don't belong to a union where you don't have a guaranteed rate of money per month when you retire. So that's what happens.
So that's because we're going to end up crossing that bridge in a second. You're a little behind, Deuce. However, I wanted to jump into money talk. And I want to jump into money talk. Hey, Gabba, because money has been talking a lot across the states and the globe here lately.
Mhm.
We saw where there were Supreme Court seats up for vote in Minnesota, right? And we had a billionaire. Wisconsin. Thank you. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was thinking freaking McCoy, and then I started thinking anyway. So, but we had a billionaire. We had a specific billionaire who decided he would dump $26 million on that to maybe not influence the outcome of that, while also giving away a couple $1 million. And if you all don't, you know what I'm talking about. I'll let the panel weigh in on what we're talking about and go a little further into that discussion. So, gentlemen, we're talking about the Supreme Courts and what's happening. We can talk about not just this one instance, but we can also talk about the Supreme Courts and the EPA decision that they had on San Francisco that we want to do a couple of weeks back also, and moving progressively to get to where we are now. So let's hear where y'all are with what's going on with the Supreme Courts.
Well, the Democrat, now listen to this, not to get off the money.
Okay.
You run for a court seat or a judge seat in the courts, I believe in any state, not just in Wisconsin, California, wherever. That's a non-partisan, that's supposed to be a non-political seat because you're supposed to apply the law. Now, reality is when you run for the United States Supreme Court, they won't know if you're a Democrat or a Republican before they put you on there, before they nominate you. All right. So Wisconsin, I forgot her name, but she won, and she's a Democrat. But she said, hey, I'm going to apply the law unbiasedly, fairly, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But the money didn't work this time on the judge. Now, this is what I heard on Chris Cuomo, Mr. Bill O'Reilly. I don't know if this is true or not. They said the issue of the abortion came up. And they say in Wisconsin, those people are for abortion. And that's why she won the seat, regardless of how much money we're going to dump in there from the other side. It wouldn't have mattered. Now, that's what Mr. O'Reilly said. He ain't always right. I think on this particular issue, he may be right. No?
Go ahead, Deuce. Go ahead, Deuce.
I think it's more than that, man. I think this is a referendum on the administration, how things been going, specifically Elon, man. What you say, he dumped $21 million in there. He gave away $2 million. One went to a Republican junior committee leader of some sorts, right? I don't know what the second bill went to.
To be a spokesperson.
Right. So I think what it came down to, man, is the Wisconsin people saying that they don't want to be bought. They don't want their votes to be bought. No matter which vote they're casting it for, I think it's a referendum against our votes being bought. So I mean, because think about it, half of the eligible voters in Wisconsin came out to vote for an off-cycle voting session, right? This is not for the governor. This is not for the presidency. Half of the eligible voters came out to vote for a Supreme Court vote. That doesn't happen.
So, hey, let's be completely honest. Okay. The money came from the Republicans as well as the Democrats. The Democrats, George Soros and some other Democrats is dumping money into it. But here's one quick thing I would say to you, Deuce, on this. Bill O'Reilly said the abortion issue was a big deal. And that's why the judge won that, because she's a Democrat. The voter ID issue about you have to verify who you are before you vote, that was also on the ballot. And that got passed. And that's a Republican issue. And that got passed. So with the baby.
Explain that a little bit, right? Explain that a little bit. The voter ID and how it's Republican.
The Republicans want you to be able to verify before you vote. If you go vote in person, show me some identification to prove that you are who you say you are before you cast that vote. Yeah. You don't have to necessarily do that when you vote by mail. So the studies have said that minorities will be the ones most affected by voter ID. And so a lot of quote older African Americans are against voter ID. I'm not against it at all. So in Wisconsin, they passed the voter ID. You have to verify who you are before you vote.
Mhm.
So that kind of still supports the Trump administration. That supports the Republican. That's one of the strong Republican platform points. That got passed.
Okay. I see. Okay. I was just asking for clarification because
I'll look that up real quick to verify, but I'm sure that's,
Yeah, but I agree also. So I believe in voter ID also, but I don't think it should be so restrictive that it becomes a point of friction to where if I'm trying to remember exactly when the Republicans did it, but if women end up getting married and change their name and they move states, that they're going to have issues trying to actually register to vote, right? Because that was one of the things that came out not too long ago, a month or 2 months ago, right? It was an issue for something that the Republicans had pushed out and passed.
Yeah, with that, it's more of a burden, right? Because you got to make sure that your name is the same in all of these different systems, which takes time.
Yeah, and it's impossible if a woman gets married, right? Her married name isn't going to be the same as her birth certificate because they have to.
But it doesn't have to be your birth certificate, though. They just need to make sure that the names on that voter roll is updated.
Register your voter's registration card. Because what it's saying here is voters will decide to amend the Wisconsin Constitution to require photo identification to vote.
Yeah, and so that's different legislation than what the Republicans at the federal level actually proposed, right?
Well, I know what you're talking about,
very
Glass.
similar.
No, so the difference is, I think, citizenship. So Wisconsin, just show who you are. A driver's license doesn't mean I'm a citizen.
Sure.
Right? But a passport means I'm a citizen. And one of the source documentations of a passport is a birth certificate, right? So what you got?
Then, you know what? So when people watch this, I don't want people to think we're just shooting off the top. So I'm going to a Wisconsin, or this is from the New York Times. And we read to you verbatim, then I'll let you finish. Voters will decide to amend the Wisconsin Constitution. Voters will decide to amend the Wisconsin Constitution to require photo identification to vote. Wisconsin law already requires voters to show identification, but passage of this Republican-backed ballot question would make it harder for that requirement to be removed by the courts or the legislature. And I imagine that's at the state level, not at the federal level. And it passed 62%.
Look up the federal one.
That's what I'm doing now.
All right, look up the federal. So we know what the Wisconsin one is. We just need to know what the federal one is. I think I can tie them together.
No, I'm saying
I just want to make sure I'm right.
The way this is written, you're saying make it harder for requirements to be removed by the courts or the legislature. I believe when they say courts or legislature, that's within the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm talking. Yeah, it's the SAVE Act. The SAVE Act, and the way that it was spun out, I didn't agree with how it was propagated because it pushed more of the. It was fear mongering, right? But the SAVE Act, it can make it harder for women to vote. And I will have to.
Is it based on citizenship? That's the main question.
It's all it's all based on citizenship. So several voting rights groups want several. So give me a second. Actually, I'll share this. I'll share my screen.
While he's doing that, so the connection with women. So for Wisconsin, married women, that's the category we're talking about. It's easy for them to vote because all you gotta do is get a new driver's license. Because Wisconsin is saying picture ID and that's it, right? The federal one, backed by the Trump administration, they want citizens to be able to vote. And one of the to show your citizenship, you need a birth certificate, or if you have a passport, you need a birth certificate. So when women get married, they don't normally go back and get a updated birth certificate. So my question is, for married women who have a different last name, how do they get passports? I guess birth certificate plus your marriage license
Yeah, and that's part of it. Again, when I read it and I read it again,
Yeah.
the bill that was actually pushed out by Republicans had specific documents that were allowed to be reviewed in order to allow a person to register to vote, but a passport was not one of them.
What?
Yeah, it didn't
A
have that
passport
on
was
it.
not one?
It wasn't. And I could be
That's
wrong, but I'll go back and look at it because that was one of the things that was one of my grievances with it. Because it had sticky, very, very sticky language in it. And now I do agree again that we should produce ID in order to vote to make sure that we're allowing the right people to vote. But there was sticky language in this bill that they sent forward. And one of the things that I did not agree with or appreciate was how it was being pushed out to the public because the
are
full
you
story was being told.
are you sure it's not passport? Because
I
that
will
doesn't make any sense.
I don't want to actually
All right.
read this article because this is a biased article. Now that I'm looking at it, it's a .org
So,
article. However, it's a left leaning article. Now
so
that I'll
I'm reading from
go back and look save
I'm
act.
reading
Go
from
ahead.
another. I'm reading from another. Okay, so I'm at another site. This is the Hill.com site. It's saying they passed a measure to amend the state constitution to require photo identification in order to vote. Now, I just read to you where it said they just made it harder for it to be changed, but it was already in the law about a photo identification. That was from another site. So I've gone to two different sites, giving me two different.
Okay, wait, I got you. I'm on go to the actual. I went to save that. This is under congress.gov,
Yeah, that's
right?
what
Where
I
we
want
normally look up
also.
the bills. So the
Yep.
first line says this bill requires individuals to provide documentary proof of U.S. citizenship
No,
when
I'm still
registering
going
to
back to
vote.
Wisconsin.
What? No, I'm trying to combine the two together. So we
Okay.
know the Wisconsin one, right? It's photo ID. That's I'm not gonna say that's easy, but it's easier than the federal one. The federal one wants photo ID, but they want U.S. citizenship.
Yeah.
So to show citizenship, what we need a birth certificate, right? Or if you don't want to take that, you can take your passport. One of the source documents for a passport is a birth certificate,
Yeah.
right? So show that we're a citizen of the United States. Now, when you talk about that, if a woman gets married, she doesn't normally get her birth certificate updated. Now, a
You can't.
married woman could get a passport because she could show birth certificate plus marriage license to get the passport in her new name. But how much does a passport cost?
Oh, thank you for saying that because they're not accepting the marriage licenses. The marriage license document was not mentioned for acceptable documents to show that they're citizens.
Because
That
it's
was
not. But you
yeah.
can use that to get your new name on your passport.
So
You see what I'm
okay.
saying? But how
Yep.
much does it cost to get a passport? That's
Yeah.
the barrier.
Yeah. And so I'm looking at the same thing you're looking at, and I'm sharing also. It says
Yeah.
this bill requires individuals to provide documentary proof of U.S. citizenship while registering to vote in federal elections. Specifically, the bill prohibits states from accepting and processing an application to register to vote in a federal election. That's why this is different a little bit.
Mhm.
Because you're talking about federal versus state. In the federal election, unless the applicant presents documentary proof of U.S. citizenship, the bill specifies what documents are considered acceptable proof of U.S. citizenship, such as the identification that complies with Real ID Act 2005 that indicates U.S. citizenship. Further, the bill
Mhm.
prohibits states from registering an individual to vote in a federal election unless, at that time, the individual applies to register to vote. The individual provides documentary proof of U.S. citizenship and requires states to establish an alternate process under which an applicant may submit other evidence to demonstrate U.S. citizenship. Each state must take affirmative steps on an ongoing basis to ensure that only U.S. citizens are registered to vote, which shall include establishing a program to identify individuals who are not U.S. citizens using information supplied by certain sources. And so at one point, I had gotten all of the actual documents.
Quick text.
Yeah,
Quick text. It's right there. Number two is a passport. But like I was saying, if you're married, right, you can show you can show your birth certificate, you can show your marriage license. Hey, this is me. This is my new name. Here's my marriage license. It has my maiden name, my husband's name. new name, and then you submit that, and you can get a passport in your new married name. The
Gotcha.
thing, the thing is, one, a lot of people don't have passports because a lot of people just don't travel like that because it's cost inhibitive, and two, it costs to get a freaking passport.
And not just that, but the timing of it all, right? The
Yeah.
timing is what I think. The timing was the thing that a lot of women were upset with, because if you, again, let's say you are a young person, or even an older
Mhm.
person at this point in life, but the woman gets married and you move state or you move county or whatever the case may be,
Mhm.
and they get a name change, but there's a vote coming up. They won't be eligible to vote because of the name change, and they don't have source document that proves who they are.
Yeah.
That's the issue, and it prolongs their ability to actually vote. Thank you. That I'm
What?
going to look that up.
Hold on. I want to go back to Wisconsin for a second, because we're gonna lose people. We want to be, when we do this, we do these things, we want to be as accurate as possible, because if someone's going to say, well, you guys are not political people.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna go back, because now I'm going to a third site. This is the Ballotpedia. Now, normally, regardless of what state it is, when it comes to Ballotpedia, they're going to have their stuff right. And it says here, Wisconsin, question 1, voter photo ID amendment was on the ballot, Wisconsin, April 1st. A yes vote supported amending the state constitution, and it has, in black, allow the state legislature to define what qualifies as a valid photo ID and provide exceptions to the requirement. And then it says a no vote opposed this. So the first site I went to, they already have saying that you got to have a photo ID to vote. But now what they want to do is say, we want to be able to let the state legislature define what qualifies as a valid photo ID.
Yeah, and so keeping in line with the SAFE Act, that's one of the measures that it had, and it dispensed back to the states, and it told the states that they were responsible essentially for coming up with the documents that they will accept to verify and validate citizenship, right? And that will allow the person. Go ahead.
For the SAFE Act?
Yeah.
No, it's in the bill for the SAFE Act what they're accept.
Right. But the bill also states that all the states are responsible for coming up with the documents that they are willing to accept. It actually decentralized that process from the federal level, and it gave that power back to the states. And so when you read Wisconsin's bill, it's literally in line with what that federal statute says.
I'm seeing something different. Where are you seeing that? Because in the bill, it literally says for the SAFE Act, the federal act.
Yep.
It says which documents are acceptable to prove citizenship. The Wisconsin one only cares about a photo ID, citizen or not.
Give me 1 second. I'll pull it back up. I'll read exactly what I was just looking at, because it gives acceptable documents to the states. And if you look under so the narrative that I actually read first, the summary says the bill prohibits states from registering an individual to vote in a federal election unless at the time the individual applies to register to vote, which was one of the issues. The individual provides documentary proof of U.S. citizenship and requires states to establish an alternative process under which an applicant may submit other evidence to demonstrate U.S. citizenship.
So that's still different from the Wisconsin one, because so the federal one is tied to citizenship. The Wisconsin one is tied to a photo ID, which you can get a driver's license without being a citizen.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you. I got you.
And you know what? Here, I'm gonna go back. Hold on 1 second here. Where am I at here? Oh, okay. Because when I'm looking here at the SAFE Act, it's saying the bill specifies what documents are considered acceptable proof of U.S. citizenship, such as identification that complies with the Real ID of 2005.
Mhm.
So if you have a real ID, driver's license, that's good enough.
However, for women, when they get married, they change their last names. And so they'd have to get their IDs changed also.
That wouldn't be a problem because they already have their real ID.
No, even if you have a real ID and it's got your maiden name on it, you have to update your real ID also.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a problem because if you already have a real ID with your maiden name, all you got to do is tell that particular driver's license bureau of any state, oh, I got married, here's my marriage certificate, and they're going to upgrade it right then. They're not going to ask you to prove your citizenship because you've already proven your citizenship when you got your real ID. That wouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
That wouldn't be a problem.
Nah, because this has citizenship all written through. I
Yeah.
don't know what you need. I have a real ID, but I can't remember what I submitted to get it.
I think for a real ID, I have a real ID in California, and I know what I had to submit. My birth certificate.
Bam, there you go.
That's the issue. That's the
Citizenship,
issue.
birth certificate.
And I
Because
think my social security card, but I can't remember that for sure.
right. But women also have to change their social security card also when they update their last name.
I see what Rich is saying though.
I do too. I get what he's saying also. I do. I absolutely get what he's saying.
Yeah.
Right? If you have a birth certificate and then you have your marriage license also coupled together, you should be able to vote on time, right? Or you should be able to register to vote or prove citizenship. And I agree with that also. But the sticking point or the friction point at that point becomes how long is it going to take in order for that process to get completed, especially if you have a vote that's literally on the cusp of happening.
So wait a minute. So this is the Republicans pushing this. So by the Constitution, each state is supposed to control their ballot box.
Huh.
It's so funny that each state is supposed to control their ballot box. But now the Republicans say, hey, we don't believe in big government. Oh, but wait a minute. In this case, we got too many illegals in California voting. And they're not voting for us. So we got to squash all this.
Well,
so
here's my go ahead.
So to me, each party wants to embrace the Constitution when it helps their cause. And when it doesn't help their cause, well, we have to make some modifications.
Well, of course.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that of course. But what I keep telling people is our government is actually purple. They're not fighting for the best interests of the people. They're fighting for the best interest of maintaining power. And those are two very different things.
Well,
so,
Chris Cuomo was talking about this. Do you know in the federal government, the legislators from both houses can make stock trades, make stock buys, and then turn right around and vote on a bill that affects their stock trades?
Sure.
All right. So if they can do that, then you can let Elon Musk do what he wants to do too. Then.
Say what? No. Wait.
Whatever he wants, pay for United States Supreme Court. The United States Supreme Court already said that a corporation is a citizen, and they can spend money as much as they want in an election.
Sure.
It's different though, bro. Elon is. I still don't agree with that.
Okay.
But that money is going towards campaigning.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Right. Okay. What Elon is doing is pushing the envelope further.
Buying
21 million for campaigning, but I'm also going to buy votes. I'm going to give millions of dollars to people to vote the way I want you to vote.
Well,
that's
if you feel
going further than campaigning. Hold
on a second. Wait a minute. No. If you feel that strongly about Elon buying poor people's votes, then you make sure you take all the lobbyists out of Washington, D.C. Then you stop all that shit.
I agree with that 1,010%.
Oh, okay.
Removing lobbyists, removing earmarks, all of that. That's easy. That's an easy.
I'm with you on that, but he's still taking it a step further than lobbying.
He absolutely is.
Are focused on the crooks in DC. Elon is taking it to the people, which I love the ideology of it. It's actually a smart move to get what you want, but that's not how a democracy. Granted, there's a lot of things wrong with our democracy, but this is a huge chunk going towards the wrong way.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Why?
To actually pay the voters directly,
Hmm.
because now it's a faster way to get your agenda done. Whatever you want, the person you
And
want in office, hey, I'm gonna pay these people. Forget about, you don't have to worry about ridiculous, because you know why? Here's why. It removes any checks and balances we have left. Because before, the old game was to redraw your districts. But then you had your state Supreme Court, you had the Supreme Court that can block that.
sure.
But now I don't have to worry about doing the paperwork, lawyers going back and forth to redraw a district. I'm just gonna pay them.
Okay. I'm not,
And
I'm
it's
just why.
cheaper.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
plus it's illegal and unconstitutional to actually pay for votes, right? But
Is it?
to pay for a vote.
Is it?
Yeah, I'll go back and look that up, but I'm pretty sure that that's a thing. Now it's actually in the Wisconsin Constitution also that they're not supposed to do that. And what's odd, yeah, is a liberal court allowed it to happen because
Yeah,
they're
right.
4-3. They're 4-3 liberal. They lean liberal. And they still allowed for $2 million to be paid individually to two different people, respectively. And not just that,
Mhm.
but kind of pulled their hands away from it. And I don't understand if it's a reflection of what's happening at the federal level, where we have Supreme Court justices who have been given millions and billions of dollars through donors, right? And not to sway a vote, but because it's out of the goodness of their hearts. Although there are some things that they've ruled on that helps said donors at the end of the day.
Right.
And so if it's good enough for the goose, the gander is trying to follow suit also at
Right.
the state level. So I go ahead.
I'm seeing. Oh, I must be at the bottom of the barrel tonight. I'm on Reddit.
Not
18
rich.
U.S. Code 597. I'll read it to you again. 18 U.S. Code 597.
Mhm.
Whoever makes an offer to expenditure to any person either to vote or withhold his vote, blah, 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 shall be fined under this title.
Yeah, because that happened around, I believe, around the same time as they were trying to do poll taxes. Right.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So, okay. All right. Fair enough. So,
Okay.
how the fuck was he allowed to do it?
Because he's a billionaire. So I'm not saying that those liberal judges or the Supreme Court judges.
Wait. He was paying the person to vote, but was he paying the person to vote a certain way? That I don't remember.
We could assume that he can, but we can't prove
Right.
that he can. But we could. I'm pretty sure neither one of those voted for that Democratic Supreme Court nominee.
Right. So when he was
But you're right. We can't prove it.
vote, was he offering to? I don't think he was offering a person to vote for a particular candidate because this U.S. Code 18 U.S.C. 597. Whoever makes or offers to make an expenditure to any person, either to vote or withhold his vote, to vote or withhold his vote, or to vote for or against any candidate. I'll read it again.
No,
Whoever makes Donald or Elon Musk makes or offers to make an expenditure, Elon Musk, I'm going to pay so and so to vote or withhold his vote, or to vote for or against a candidate.
that's what it was. So the outcome of this is me imitating Elon Musk. So what we did was, okay. It's not that we paid for their vote, right? Okay, imagine if like we were okay. So we didn't pay them for their vote, okay, because of transparency, right? They had already essentially said that they were committed for a vote, and we were creating a new position for them to be spokespersons. I guess in that area, for the Republican Party, because the way the Democrats have begun to demonize everything that we're doing, we have to make sure. That was my imitation of Elon Musk. I think it's pretty good.
That was perfect.
I think it's pretty good.
Perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. That's how you. Yeah, that's yeah. He found the gray area.
Yeah,
And he blew it up. He found the gray area and he took it up to space.
he did, because that's exactly what those were the requirements from what I read, is that from the article that you sent me, as a matter of fact, Deuce, is that they had to have already committed to a specific incumbent and essentially cast their vote. Now, I don't know when they actually cast their vote or when he found out when they were casting their votes. I just know that they were supposed to have been already stamped and approved to vote for the Republican candidate.
Yeah. So, and you said because he's a billionaire. I don't think that's the only reason why. I think it's because he's a billionaire who was best friends with the U.S. president. Because we have other billionaires in America that probably have tried, but they haven't done it. And if they have, not to this extent. The only reason he's able to get away with it is because who his best friend is. That's why. He's protected by the four faith of government, the four faith of the United States government. The same reason why, I know we're not talking about this, but in the beginning, there were rumors about him going for a third term. And now he's trying to do the Putin move. Because you remember back in the day, Putin got his VP to run. I forget the guy's name, start with the M. He won the election, don't know how. And then he stepped to the side. He says, I'm incapable of running Russia. I'm going to let my VP, who just so happened to be Putin, run. And that's because he stepped down and then run.
I think amendment, somebody brought that up. It may have been, forgot who it was. I think Amendment 12.
True. Yes.
Stop that.
But this didn't stop Elon from doing what he's doing. It's like,
right.
They keep pushing the envelope. By the time 4 years come, so many things would have been trampled on.
Yeah.
That when he does it, who's going to stop him?
And that's why
the federal judges.
Yeah. That's why a lot of things that have been started early in this actual administration. So, right. But what I want people to make sure they understand and remember is things are being done in the fashion that they're being done on purpose. It's to fatigue the American public, to get you disinterested, and to get you to become malleable and yield over, right? And as soon as those three things happen, then a third term is possible. The tariffs the tariffs become a good thing, and so judges who are ruling against a lot of the executive orders, they should be impeached.
And you're right, but I want to even take it a layer back behind that, right? I love it when people say that our vote doesn't count. Our vote doesn't matter. It's not important. Bro, if the vote didn't matter, why is a billionaire out here issuing out $1 million checks to people just for you to vote if it didn't matter? One. Two, when you look at all these laws in place, now I'm with the two of you. I do believe there should be some type of photo ID for you to be able to vote, right? But with that, I do believe we need more poll places. We need more voter registration centers. There needs to be a national holiday, so many other things to allow people to do that. However, but look at this. They're going to citizenship to vote to knock out all of anybody else who's not a citizen. Because normally they vote more liberal than that, right? And then two, requiring these documentation is making it harder for poor Black people who already have to travel to go to find a voting center, especially in the South, to vote. It's making it more difficult for them to even do that.
Yeah.
So now, here's what I see. Steve Bannon was talking about this.
Yeah.
I think he was either with Chris Cuomo or Bill. I can't remember what show he was on. I'm looking at this democracy docket, and it's saying it's clear Trump can't run and be elected for a third term. That's clear. But there are a few theories floating around. Some of it is the language of the amendment bars a third election, but it doesn't explicitly say a president can't serve a third term. So I went to the 12th Amendment, and I couldn't figure out what they were saying on the 12th Amendment.
So okay, it bars a third election.
So the amendment says you can't be a president by running for a third term. But here, let's go to this. Here, let me go back to the 22nd Amendment. No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. So once you've been elected to office 2 times, you're termed out.
So
But
they're trying to find a way to bypass an election.
Well, hold on. This is where the Supreme Court gets really important.
Okay.
See, remember, so it doesn't say that you can't be the president on a third term. It says you just can't be elected to a third term.
Yeah,
That's
and
what
that's
it's saying.
golly.
Now, here's the funny thing about this. Remember, a couple months ago we were talking, and I said the most important decision that Trump has to win on any case that goes to the Supreme Court is that birthright citizenship. And everyone said, "Oh, if you're born here, you're automatically a U.S. citizen. It doesn't matter if your family came over illegally." I've always said that's wrong. That is dead wrong.
Okay.
When the Supreme Court rules on that, that's kind of going to give me an indication. If anything else, is so monumental how they're going to rule.
But they've already, I thought they had held a lower court's decision, essentially saying that you're not going to uproot the 14th Amendment because that's enclosed and encased in the 14th Amendment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so a lower court ruled on that. They pushed it to the Supreme Court, who upheld that ruling, and they pushed it back as well to give it more guidance and stipulations. Right. So that part has been upheld. The courts.
Wait. When did they throw that? Because that must have been just recently. I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, that was within the last month, I want to say.
Why didn't they talk more about that on TV? Because I didn't see that.
It didn't. I don't know if the lower court has. They talked about it a bit, but I don't think the lower court has continued to press it as much. And I can't remember the name of the judge, but I saw it and I said, "Oh, okay. Well, I guess the
federal court in New Hampshire blocked President Trump's executive order to strip certain babies born in the United States of their U.S. citizenship."
Yes.
The judge issued a preliminary injunction. Preliminary, that says temporary injunction to stop it. Blah blah blah. This is the latest, but that was February 10th.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see where the Supreme Court.
Keep reading, because the Supreme Court, it was pushed up to the Supreme Court, the federal Supreme Court. It was taken out of state, sent to the federal Supreme Court. They upheld that actual ruling from the lower court, and they pushed it back to deal with timelines on it.
Okay, here. So I'm looking real quick. It says March 14th, 2025, takes birthright citizenship to the Supreme Court. This is the NPR website. So this says already three federal judges, three different states blocked Trump's executive order trying to stop birthright citizenship. So I'm trying to see where the Supreme Court made. Man.
While you're looking that up, we're going to switch from Supreme Court judges in a second, but it still continues. It's a very hand-in-hand topic, and this goes across the. Whoa, what did I do? I've never seen myself do that before. That was weird. I moved a bunch of stuff in here, and I've never done that before. But it talks about what's happening to, again, another amendment, right? As we read some time ago, Deuce, in Project 2025, we saw that the 14th Amendment was going to be pressed and put under a lot of pressure to be uprooted and destroyed and dismantled. If they're able to destroy and dismantle the 14th Amendment, there are a lot of different things that come out of that. Birthright citizenship is one of them. And another thing that will happen is what we've been seeing.
Wait, did you lose them too?
I don't think the
now you're
Supreme
back.
Court upheld. I don't think the Supreme Court went against this yet.
Give me a bit. I'll look it up. I'll look it up because the federal Supreme Court, they didn't want to have to deal with it, so they upheld the actual ruling from a lower court.
Yeah, because I got it typed in here: birthright citizenship upheld by U.S. Supreme Court, and I'm not getting it.
All right, I'll give me a bit. I'll find the articles that I read because I remember breathing easy.
That would be national news. They talk about that for a while as a loss for Donald Trump, and they haven't done that on TV.
I'll go back and done it. Give me a bit, and I will pull it up. But until I do and have time to go back and look it up, we'll put a pin in that.
Okay.
And we will say for now that state Supreme Courts have ruled against his birthright citizenship, right? And it's on a temporary block. I think we can all agree on that. And so we'll pin that. I'll pull the articles. I'll send them in a group chat. That way we have time to mull them over and make sure we're the same sheet of music or debate them. But what's also happening at the same time is we're seeing college students. We're seeing college students being nabbed up, moved across multiple different states. Now, if Diddy would have done this, it would have looked different. I'm just throwing that out there. But these things have been done in a fashion, to me personally, to a kind of subvert and demotivate free speech. That's my personal take on it. As I look at people being nabbed up, and the excuse becomes, well, they weren't U.S. citizens, so they're not allotted or they're not given the full benefits of being a citizen. So what they're engaging in is propaganda to harm the United States of America, which has become some of the rhetoric behind these nabbings or these kidnappings, or flying people across states against their will. Right. That's been my view on it. And I haven't been able to read much of anything to persuade me differently. What has y'all's take been? Is this a movement against freedom of speech, or is this the federal government simply doing its job? Is the current administration simply trying to make sure that the rights that are afforded to American citizens are maintained by citizens and citizens alone?
Is the First Amendment does that only apply to citizens?
I'm looking it up right now.
That'd be question number one.
I'm looking up what a student visa, what qualifies for a student visa.
Well, I know one guy, the one that led the protest on, what was it, Columbia, I believe.
Yeah.
Right. He had a green card actually. Which I don't know what block a green card puts you in. Are you a citizen?
No, did he have Did he have a student visa or did he have a green card?
He had a green card. He wasn't a student anymore.
Right.
The young little had a green card?
So what does that mean? Are you a citizen with a green card or not?
No, he was just a visitor. He didn't have no green card.
He had a green card.
Okay, I'll look it up real quick. I don't think so.
But my question is, what does a green card mean?
What privileges does it give you?
Yeah, are you a citizen or not?
I mean, if you got $5 million, you would, and you got a green card, you would be given all the privileges of a citizen, right?
Privileges of a citizen, but not a citizen.
Well, because a citizenship in America at this point, the gold card rather, is $5 million, and as soon as you pay that, you get the benefits of being a citizen. Yeah.
I got you on that, but my question right now is his green card, because that's what he was snatched off of. He had a green card. So does that make you a citizen, or does that make you something similar to? Do you have the rights of a citizen, which means you're not a citizen, you just get to enjoy the liberties of a citizen? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
So you get the liberties without the protection.
I'm looking up, does a green card make you a citizen? And AI says, this is just AI. This is not me doing any continued or further digging. It's not a .org or a .edu. But AI says no. A green card, permanent resident card, does not automatically grant you U.S. citizenship. It provides permanent residency, but you must go through a separate process called naturalization to become a citizen. Here are more detailed explanation. The green card, the document grants you the right to live and work in the United States indefinitely, but it does not make you a citizen. Rights and responsibilities. While green card holders can live and work in the U.S., they do not have the full rights of U.S. citizens. However, it says voting and running for political office.
Now I'm reading
So
that
they can't vote.
vote in
So you're
federal.
saying a green card holder can't vote or run for political office?
Now that was just AI. That was Google AI. What are you all coming up with?
I saw
So-
that they can't do federal elections. They can't vote in federal elections.
Okay.
No, you shouldn't be able to vote in any election if you're not a U.S.
Well,
citizen.
states-
You shouldn't be voting in state or federal elections.
Whether what we think, but some states allow you to vote in state elections if you just live there and not a citizen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm still trying to see, was he on a student visa or was he on a green card? Because I know I heard them say he was on a student visa, but I'm trying to find it here.
I heard I did an interview with his lawyer, and I want to say he said it was on a green card.
Yep.
Because he wasn't.
That's what I think he's on. So he don't get.
Yeah. And I'm reading that, okay, green card holders can be deported under certain circumstances, like serious crimes. So then that goes back to it's holding for all intents and purposes. I've seen reports where it was peaceful. Some said it was not. Holding a protest, let's say peaceful, can you be deported for speaking your mind? So it seems like only people that are, because here's the thing. The only people that are deported are ones that speak against the administration, and those that speak against Israel are for Palestine.
That exactly. And so I shared my screen. Y'all know y'all can share y'all screens too, right? All you got to do is hit. Anyway,
Okay.
So AI, again, the question that I asked is, does a green card give you constitutional rights? Several Supreme Court cases, and this is without me doing any deep diving, several Supreme Court cases have confirmed that legal permanent residents or green card holders have the same basic constitutional rights that also protect natural born citizens and naturalized citizens.
Except they can be deported.
But
Well,
we have
citizens
not
cannot be
determined. We have
deported.
not determined if Mahmoud Khalil had a green card, if he was just on a student visa. We have not confirmed that, because I'm looking to see, and I keep typing student visa. I can't get anything. I type green card. I'm still looking on this person. You think they would tell you that real quick and make it simple and get to the point? And these sites are not getting right to the point.
Okay, well,
I got you. I found it.
Okay. Go ahead.
Let me share it. Give me a second.
Okay.
And this is, again, the gentleman that was talking about Colombia, right? Oops, I hit the wrong thing. Found it. All right. And so this says, federal immigration authorities arrested Palestinian activist Saturday who played a prominent role in Columbia University's protest against Israel. A significant escalation. Mahmoud Khalil, a graduate student of Columbia until this past December, was inside the university, own apartment Saturday, blah, blah, blah. Immigration Customs Enforcement has ICE. His attorney told the Associated Press. The Green spoke. Give me 1 second. I'll do that later. I'll subscribe to y'all later. Let me control F and green card. Greer said she spoke by phone. That's his wife. One of the ICE agents during the arrest who said they were acting on State Department orders to revoke Khalil's student visa. Informed by the attorney that Khalil.
Stop right there.
No, I can't. I got to continue.
You just said it. Student visa.
No, you got to listen to the whole thing. Yeah.
Informed by the attorney that Khalil was in the United States as a permanent resident with a green card. The agent said they were revoking that instead, according to the lawyer.
Yeah, and I heard the interview from the lawyer where he
said, read it all over. Read that part again, man. She said student visa and then the green card. Read it again.
No, she didn't say that.
So let me go a paragraph before.
Okay.
Mahmoud Khalil, a graduate student at Columbia until this past December, was inside his university-owned apartment Saturday night when several immigration and customs enforcement agents entered and took him into custody. His attorney, Amy Greer, told the Associated Press. I thought that was his wife. I was wrong. Amy Greer said she spoke by phone with one of the ICE agents during the actual arrest, who said they were acting on State Department orders to revoke Khalil's student visa. Informed by the attorney that Khalil was in the United States as a permanent resident with a green card, the agent said they were revoking that instead, according to the lawyer.
And you said earlier that a green card holder had the same rights as a U.S. citizen?
Yes.
But they can be deported.
But they still can.
They got the rights, but not the protections.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have the rights, the freedom of speech, but you'll still get deported for your freedom of speech.
And so I don't think it's simply freedom of speech.
Okay.
That they're supposed to be able to get deported under. If it's something unlawful, or if it's felonious, or if it's damaging to the United States government, if memory serves me right, then
so, that's subjectivity. So what's damaging to the government? And I think that's the clause they're using.
Okay.
So
I can see why you would say that.
Here's my thing. If you want to protest peacefully because you're a good Muslim protecting another Muslim, I respect that. I respect your love for Allah and Muhammad is the last prophet. Oh, I respect that. If that's your belief, I respect that, Ishmael. I asked you to do it peacefully. Were those people on Columbia, those students, were they peacefully protesting, or were they getting in the way of other kids, possibly Jewish kids, going to class? The camera says they were.
That's two different things, Rich. You can have a peaceful protest and still get in the way of some people getting to class.
Beliefs. I said, but did they do it peacefully? Or did the camera show us those particular students who were protesting the violence against Palestine? Did they do it peacefully, or were they stopping the other kids from going to class?
What I'm saying is you can still do both, man. You can have a peaceful protest.
No, that's not what I asked. I said, what did the camera show us? Because what they showed us was they showed the people who were protesting on behalf of Palestine that they were not protesting peacefully, and they were stopping other kids from getting to class.
That's not what they doing. Protest. What part is not peaceful? Like,
they were stopping the other kids from getting to class. That's not a peaceful protest.
That could be a peaceful protest. Why is it
not?
No,
that's not a peaceful protest.
Why not? No. It might be frustrating, but how is that not a peaceful protest?
No, that's not peaceful. Because if I was on a college campus and I'm saying, hey, blah, 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 I'm black and I'm proud, that's one thing. But if I'm stopping you from getting to class because of my protest, even though a protest is supposed to be disruptive, yes. It's supposed to be disruptive, but disruptive, this is tricky because disruptive verbally is one thing. Being disruptive physically,
sure,
that's subjective.
If
I go downtown to Sacramento and I protest and I stop traffic, did my protest become violent?
No.
I'll get arrested.
Is that violent?
I'll get arrested. So it must have became something that violated the law. If I stop traffic, they're going to arrest me.
But
they warned me first.
They're going to arrest you because you said a highway. You're on state property.
Wait a minute. If I'm on the street and there's a bunch of us on the street and we're stopping the street cars, the traffic, there's a possibility that they may come and say, your disturbance has become non-peaceful. You're disrupting the public public peace, and for the greater good, we're asking you one time, remove yourself from the street, because if you don't, you're getting arrested. So what they're saying from the Republican mindset, we don't like you Muslims anyway. See, we don't like you anyway. Okay, and we pro Israel because those people in Israel kind of look like us. All right. Now, you went on Columbia and you said all this stuff. It is a fact that Hamas went over to Israel and grabbed some people. Is that all? Is that Palestine's fault for what Hamas did? Well, Hamas controls Palestine. So if you're a Palestinian and you live there and you know Hamas is off the chain doing what they want to do, then you're gonna pay the consequences. That's the casualty of war.
I don't think I can run with you down those parallels.
That's fine.
I can't. You running down some dark alleys. I can't follow.
Yeah.
Well,
I got
October 7th. What year was it? 24 or 23?
Yeah.
23? October 7th, 23 or 24? I think it was 23. October 7th, 2023. Is it not true that Hamas went over to Israel and grabbed a few people, I think 1,500 people, and brought them back to Palestine? Is that not a fact? Yes or no?
Is that where that's where you're gonna start? That's a whole nother.
I'm asking you where this all.
They did, but can I opine just for a second? I want to get to that. Yes, to answer your question, they did.
Was that 23? I thought that was 24. But that doesn't matter.
It wasn't 24.
It doesn't matter. Go ahead.
20. That was longer than that. But anyways, they did do that. But that's a complicated story right there, right? Okay, things that led up to that. But going back.
Okay.
Question: was the protest on Columbia University?
Yes.
Columbia University is a private institution. So how can the federal government
that's a good point.
in and arrest somebody for doing something? Hold on a private institution.
Because the private institution takes federal money. Yes, they do.
Irregardless.
No, it ain't no irregardless.
It is
if
irregardless.
You accept federal money,
irregardless.
Rich. We all take some federal money in some form or fashion or another. You turn on your water, that the feds subsidize some of that water, right? We all receive funding federally in some form or fashion. However, the feds cannot come on our house without a warrant, right?
Yeah.
So because our house is a private domicile, okay? So Columbia is a private entity. Where they get the money from does not change their status, right? So how can the feds arrest the man for holding a protest on a private institution?
You know what? You're going to find out from the court because he is considered a threat to America.
No, he's not. He's considered a threat to a person. There's a difference. Right, he could even be considered
a national security.
He's not.
Oh, yes, he is.
No.
Wait till he comes out and this is all finalized.
He can be considered, and I would understand that if you would have said that he was considered a threat verbally to a person or a political party, right? But being a threat to the government in its entirety, I can't agree with you on. Because that means that he would also have to include Christians. He would also have to include taxpayers, opposing a direct threat to taxpayers, right? The federal government at large, the constituents of, as well as the actual people who occupy the offices. Now, America is going to have a hard time with this part because there is a group of people who were pardoned from prison who did actually endanger the lives of U.S. government officials.
Killed this was a federal cop, a DC cop.
And they exactly.
Yeah,
it was absolutely wrong. And so they would have a hard time proving that this one single man had a very similar stance and aggression as those folks did.
Right. So, but here's the funny thing about that. President Trump was wrong to pardon them. But he told us he was going to, and I said he had to. He had to because that's his base.
That he was,
yeah. So that's his base. But those are U.S. citizens. But they didn't protest peacefully, and so they went to jail, and then he let them out.
And there again, that's why they're going to have a hard time with this. Now, simply blocking or intruding on in a path does not directly make anything directly non-peaceful, right? Especially if there are other ways of getting from point A to point C. Maybe point B is the shortest route to get there. However, if you know there's a protest happening, did y'all lose me?
No, we hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
If you know there's a protest happening, well, just very similar to gun laws, right? You go the opposite way to avoid that friction, right? If you have a pistol on you, right, you're an authorized gun carrier, and you see that someone's being aggressive towards you, the first thing you're supposed to do is walk away. You walk away because you're not carrying a gun so that you have to use it. You're carrying a gun, to deter deter that aggression. So this guy wasn't a threat to any students at that school. Nobody got hurt.
Nobody got hurt. But I want to jump on something Rich said. The Jan 6 people were arrested for doing a violent act of protest, whatever you want to call it, a raid, right? Treason, right? March,
I agree with that.
did all that stuff, right? They got arrested. No one was deported. And you said all of them were citizens. They were not all citizens, right? There was Ronald Sandlin, born in Mexico, later adopted by American parents. He participated in the riot. He served 16 months in prison.
Wait, if
after
he got
pleading
adopted by
guilty.
adopted by parents, U.S. parents, he became a U.S. citizen. So go ahead.
Nah, that's not
he
how
is
that works.
not a U.S. citizen.
That's not how
He
that
was
works.
born in Mexico and only adopted.
Yeah,
Did
that's
he
not
become
how
a
that.
U.S.
citizen.
citizen once he was adopted?
No, they have
He
to
is
file
not a
paperwork.
citizen. He's
No.
not a citizen.
He does not automatically
Just
become a
because you were not born here, when his parents adopted him, did he become a U.S. citizen?
I'm
No.
telling you, no, he is not a citizen.
Oh.
I don't know how.
That don't
I
sound
don't know
right.
another way
That
to
don't
say
sound
that.
right. It doesn't. Because if you adopt somebody from across the ocean or from any other country, you do the paperwork so they can become a U.S. citizen, so you can adopt them.
No, that's not how that works. Even if you're an American citizen and you have children in Germany and they're born on German soil, they have dual citizenship. But once they hit a specific age, they have to make sure that they file the proper documents to claim American citizenship. So just because
that guy didn't do the paperwork to become a U.S. citizen.
Apparently not.
All right. Well, that's on him because when he came here, he had U.S. citizenship, but he didn't follow through on it.
In regard, I'm not putting it on him. What I'm saying is, this man was arrested for the Jan 6 riot, not a citizen, and he wasn't deported.
I see him.
All right, he wasn't deported, right?
I see you.
But this guy's holding a protest on a private institution, and he gets deported.
Here's what I would say. Here's what I would say. We want everyone to have due process. Now that we do want.
Yes.
And so even though he's using the Enemies Act of 1789 to get people up out of here.
Yes.
Is he Russian? Yes. Is he delivering on what he said? Yes. If he sends out 100 people, were 10 of those people innocent and should have stayed here? Yes.
More than 10. Dude, he's okay. I think I forgot to count. I know it's more than 3,000.
Okay.
Venezuelans that were granted by President Biden temporary protection status.
Temporary.
True.
You're gone.
Stripped that. They didn't do anything to have that stripped. It was just stripped because they are not American.
Because that's the consequence of getting a new president who doesn't believe in that. Here's my thing. I don't want to stereotype. I don't want to stereotype people. Oftentimes, minorities come to America illegally, and then we ship them back. I don't want to stereotype that because we should also be finding the companies that hired them, the corporations that hired them. So, when people look at me and say, oh, well, Richard, you said 1 minute one thing, next minute another thing. You have to secure your country. You got to secure your borders because you're going to let terrorists in. You're going to let drugs in. You're going to have problems. It's going to hurt the labor force, and I'm pro-labor, local 1,000 president. But on the same hand,
gotta give me a catchphrase.
You don't want to just say, "Hey, Maria, Pang, give me your African name, the Kinte." Get on back to where you came from.
Mutombo?
Those that hired them, those people who hired them, they need to be fined or sent to jail. There should be jail time for hiring somebody. And here's the problem: when the Republicans wanted to have a national registry to say, "Hey, you can't get a job in this country unless unless you can prove that the person you're hiring is here legally, or they have a green card, but they're here legally. The Republicans wanted to do that years ago, along the same lines of having a voter ID, and the Democrats said, no, we don't want that. But the Republicans said, we want to be able to verify that when we hire you, you are here legally, either a U.S. citizen or a green card, student visa, whatever.
And when did that happen?
Party fought all that off.
But when did that happen? Because I do agree with you.
It was in the late 80s into the 90s.
Yes, I agree with you on that. And the point that you made that I absolutely agree with you on is the point that's being missed by a bunch of Americans. I'm not about to castrate the person who's smoking dope while watching the person selling dope go scot-free. Right? And not just that, but all the actors who have created the environment to allow dope to be sold and people to be hooked, they need to be burned in that fire as well. Every single person that's touted, both Democrat and Republican and liberal alike, who have the enough money to hire and take advantage of folks who come quote unquote illegal, but you are the same people saying that they've got to be deported. Well, damn it, you need to be in some of that shit too.
Let me get this. I got like 3% battery juice for the phone. Chris on me, man. I want to say this part.
What?
I know. It's my charger is a whole.
Man,
situation.
you at home?
No, I'm not at home. It's a whole situation.
Oh my God.
But if you can't shoot me the link to my email, and I can get on my iPad.
Oh,
so here's the thing. Here's what I want to say to that. Beautiful arguments, right? But if you want to get at the root of the problem, you want to get at the root of drugs, you want to get at the root at crime, you want to get at the root at drugs and crime specifically, and some illegal immigration, it will help that. You have educated people within your country, right? Educated people make better choices, period. They have better opportunity rates. They can create their own economic structure to support them, themselves, their families, etc. You create educated people. However, America has refused to invest in the education system. And now we're at a point where the Department of Education is totally disbanded because people think they control curriculum in states, and they do not. They help out with funding. They're the paycheck, they're the purse. They are not the curriculum makers, right? But now that's gone, right? So it's going to be even more difficult for people to get to the different schools they need to get to, man. So that creates more ignorant Americans in this country who are by de facto easier to control and manipulate and do whatever the puppet master, whoever the puppet master is at that time, wants us to do. And I think that's the main issue.
I can't say the main issue is education. I can't, because
what do you think the main issue is?
I think the main issue is just like going after, because to me it's about as asinine as going after cartels, right? When we know that Americans like doing drugs. We know Americans like doing drugs.
How does that relate to
because
education?
if you're going to go and punish somebody, let it be.
Log back in.
Yeah, let it be. Damn, because I had this for you too. God dang it, I knew he was going to do that. Man, but let it be the parties involved, right?
So I want to go back because I want to say something to Eastcast, the producer.
Eastcast the pro.
Eastcast the pro.
Yeah.
When I say things, I want everyone to know I don't have a prejudice against other people. And even though it may come out like that, I do not have a prejudice against other people. When I said that we should find those companies or people who are hiring the illegal people who come over here and work illegally, when the Republicans tried to say, hey, we want to be able to verify that you're here legally before we hire you, the Democratic Party pushed back on that hard because they tried to do that. Now, make all drugs legal. And then, well, they tried that in Oregon. They tried to make some drugs legal, and then they had to reverse it back. So, this is an experiment. But as long as you don't verify a person is here legally, listen to this. This is how tricky, and this is both the Democrats and Republicans are kind of guilty of this. If you go work for a state or federal or for the federal government, they're going to verify who you are. They're going to verify who you are, to the best of my knowledge. If you go join the military, they're going to verify that if you die for America, you did it legally. Oh, yes. But yet, all the other jobs, they don't say we're going to run your Social Security number through the Social Security Administration to verify your birth date. That when you say you were born on this date and this is your name, this is your mom and daddy, we're going to verify that. They don't do that. So basically, people are being encouraged to come over illegally and be exploited for low wages, and that attacks the poor in America and the middle class in America. So not only is it a racial issue, it's a financial issue. And so if you have a racial issue and a financial issue, you know what you have? You have the building blocks of the American society. I am a descendant of that racial issue intertwined with the financial issue. I am not an immigrant. This is not a country of immigrants. This is a country of immigrants and descendants of the enslaved African. That's what we are.
Yeah, but bringing it full circle, right? And speaking to the education piece of it, Americans don't like being educated. It's a good idea in theory. And I can prove that simply by showing the charts of how many Americans are in debt from college that don't use their degrees. They went and memorized some shit and dumped it out of their heads. Oh man, he keep doing that to me. I think he's doing that on purpose now.
No, I'm trying to get another screen open on this iPad. I'm listening. It's just not working, man.
But
It's not a smart iPad.
If education was the issue, we would be light years ahead of racism. Education isn't the issue. Americans don't like being educated on shit.
Bro,
You know what?
wait, I gotta jump into this.
Hold on.
Hey,
Hey,
Americans don't like being educated on things when we haven't tried to educate our people.
Hold on. You know what, Mr. Glass? You know what? I think Deuce may be right on this.
Go ahead. Tell me why.
Go ahead, Deuce. I think he may be right.
I can't agree.
I got a light of flame. Your whole commentary is based off of college, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happens K through 12?
I tell you what happens K through 12, right?
Okay.
The pipelines are created, right? And the people begin to become separated. Shit is cool from kindergarten, first, second, and third grade, but by the time you reach fourth grade and you tap into the American history and the American society, and we begin to teach slavery, and we begin to teach social constructs. That's when things begin to break apart.
I disagree, but go ahead.
So I experienced more racism in grade school than what I did as I continued through the process. I went to an HBCU, so I didn't experience it as much when I was in college. But in kindergarten, that's when I was met with the most racism, not just from the teachers, but also from the kids who were learning that there was a separation, there was a difference of people in America, right? And I'm not saying that America can't educate it, that education isn't a part of the solution. I'm simply saying Americans don't want it to be.
I disagree with
if Americans wanted education to be the solution, racism in America would be over.
You know what? This is where Deuce is right. Because when you create a country, the powers to be never wanted people educated. They didn't want women voting, the powers to be. And so when we say that, you say, well, hey, the Americans don't want to be educated. No, that's the way they've been conditioned to believe. You don't know what people really want until you take away the power structure.
Well, then I I will refer to the brown-eyed, blue-eyed study that Dr. Jane Elliott has done throughout the decades.
You're
right?
conflating education and racism, though. We're simply talking about education.
Because they go hand in hand, unfortunately.
I think there's ways to narrow that specific gap. I don't think we'll ever eradicate racism.
Sure.
But systematically, to what Rich was saying, back when we were slaves, they didn't want us to know how to read, do math, anything like that.
hmm
Then when we elevated, or whatever you want to call it, got out of the slavery domain, we were able to get into schools. They tied school funding to property value because they said, guess what? They're not going to own the houses that we have because we pass them down, build them up, etc. So they're still going to be, yeah, you can read, but you're years behind my kids. And that's the system we have now. So that's another system that has to be torn down to get a more equitable system. Of course, they'll come up with a new roadblock for that, but at least we'll be a level higher, right? So that's what I'm talking about. We're not going to get rid of racism. But to close the educational gap, there are certain things that we can do. That's why when you said K through 4 or K through 3, I was disagreeing on the education front because at kindergarten is where it starts. Because schools are funded by property tax. Our neighborhoods typically are poorer than their neighborhoods.
Right.
And then just it goes down the line from there.
Right. And so the reason, again, I think education can be a part of the solution. But I don't think simply trying to fix education is going to eradicate people wanting to take advantage of other people's.
No.
Right. And that's the stance I'm coming from. Right. If you don't create the environment in its totality, you can't have the behavior. Right. The environment is created by the people who benefit from the folks that are coming over and being exploited. So destroy that environment. Oh, you're a multi-millionaire and you're going to hire Sister Consuelo to come and clean your kitchen. Fine, do that. But if you don't do it properly and legally, we're going to arrest you in direct proportion to what we would deport her. So I'm destroying the environment to create a different behavior.
So I think what I think what he's saying is this, and I said this a long time ago. If you fund the schools equally, this is where the Democrats are actually right. If you fund the schools equally from the federal government, now you're going to really find out, in addition to creating jobs in all the communities and not just in certain communities. But if you fund those schools equally and you stop the import of drugs into the country, because drugs creates violence, it creates, murder, mayhem, and it creates unwanted teenage pregnancy. It just creates all types of addictions.
I know some people that had unwanted teenage pregnancy.
But it's not just education. It's not just the environment. You have to attack it from multiple fronts. So people are in a clean environment. Your school is funded equally towards any other school. Because we all know if you lived in St. Louis and you live in Creve Coeur or Baldwin or out there on Manchester, the schools you're going to are going to be vastly superior to any inner city school, period. Or if you are in an inner city and you get bused out to one of the county schools because they got a good tax base, because those people, European Americans, have good jobs. But if we don't trust you, we don't like you, and we're still a little prejudiced from the past, we're never going to allow you to compete fairly for good jobs, whether you've gone to college or not. And so your schools are going to suffer. And while they're suffering, we're going to make sure that you have easy access to liquor stores and drugs. You'll always have access to that. But anything else, no, it's going to be limited. And this is where the Republican Party loses me. So when they talk about their righteousness from the Bible, well, if you're so righteous from the Bible, then explain to me Deuteronomy 15, where it says after 7 years, you set your slave free.
But also the Bible does directly talk about, and I'm glad you said that, but not only the Bible, but the early church founders, from both the Catholic Church as well as the Calvinists, as well as the Protestants that came from Martin Luther for years, hundreds of years within Christianity. Taxing was not usury, is what the Bible calls it. It was not a thing. It was not
interest.
Yeah, interest.
Interest, so not
Yeah.
taxes.
Thank you. Yeah,
Interest.
Yeah.
you're right. You're right.
Interest.
Interest
Yeah.
was not a thing. It was
Yeah,
not.
and you know what? The Orthodox Jews and the Muslims who go by
Oh, yeah.
Sharia law,
Rich's point.
we're on the same page, and it goes back to Deuteronomy 15. But it's very interesting when you. Okay, I'll stop there. ECAS producer. ECAS producer. He's saying something here that's really important. Yes, we must remember the history, our history, but will that prevent us from really moving forward? A certain percentage of white America says, stop complaining about the past because we didn't do that. And we don't believe in DEI. We don't believe in equity. We believe in treating everyone with equal respect and dignity. That's how they feel. That's what they say with their mouths.
Okay. I agree to that.
Now, my thing is, if you don't address your past, you can't get to your future correctly. So every time we have a celebration, the 4th of July, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, I'll leave out Christmas. So all the other days, the President's Days, all these national holidays that we celebrate and we have great, remembrance of. Well, for some Americans, yes, that's their America, but they were never the descendant of the enslaved African. So our outlook's a little different. And so when they celebrate that and glorify those days, we're thinking about where were we when they created those holidays? How were we being treated?
Yeah, it's a Frederick Douglass moment.
I'm with you on those points, but this has me thinking back to immigration, illegal immigration. I know that was a point eons ago.
Yeah.
Let me ask y'all this question. Is it cheaper to deport mass amounts of people, or is it cheaper to give them the citizenship test? Because if I remember right, Doge's whole thing is about saving money. So what are we doing? Are we saving money, or are we at some other agenda? So which one is cheaper? Deportation of mass people, including the whole process, arresting them, transferring them to a central location, chaining them, paying other countries to house them,
Okay.
and then the transportation costs from here to out of the country, and bringing that bird and that crew back, paying that crew, or give them the citizenship chest? Which one's cheaper?
What you got, Rich?
Well, my first question is,
Okay.
This is not me. This is what the Republicans say.
All right.
Do we want to reward someone for breaking laws and coming to our country illegally? By giving them citizenship, we are rewarding bad behavior. That's what they say.
Yeah, but I also don't allow criminals to tell me what's illegal.
Okay.
I love it when the hands go. That's all right. So I hear that's part of the rhetoric. I get that part.
But
another part of the rhetoric was saving money.
Okay, so I think it's a point of conflation, right? Because there is a part of that where I do agree with the Republicans on, right? I don't agree with our process. I think our process for citizenship needs to, just like our Constitution, it needs to be amended and reflect what happens now, right? Paul is silly. But
no, you know what? Hold on. You know what? He's right on that. White man's polo shirt. Let me tell you something, Polar Knights, and then I'll let him continue. I've been wearing polos since I was like 14, 15 years of age.
Yeah.
Only the white boys were wearing polos. So you are right. You called me correctly. And that's why my nickname is Polo.
Polo.
Go ahead.
So I think it's a point of conflation, right? I don't know if we can directly correlate um, deportation in dollars and cents to naturalization, or not even naturalization, but well, yeah, naturalization. And I don't think you can do it in dollars and cents in the same fashion, because first off, there's so much more that we get from our citizens, from people who have become citizens, right? And
Okay.
it's so much, not just financially, but historically. They are just, they're a blood force of the country as well,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
The I think the performative actions of what's happening um, with the current administration is to prove a point. Unfortunately, it's not so much doing it on the basis of goodwill and morale, and to encourage people and motivate people to enter the country in the correct fashion, as much as it is, or could be construed or looked at, depending on who you are and how you are and what you feel like, as a focal point of terrorism, right? So I don't think
Terrorism. Okay. I
yeah,
like it. Now, you're giving me
domestic,
something. Come on, keep.
yeah, domestic
Yeah.
terrorism, because
Okay.
I don't think we can directly say that a $50,000 one-way trip for, and then we also have to look at geographically, because there have been people that have been flown to India,
Mhm.
right? There have been multiple different countries throughout the world, not
Mhm.
just down to Colombia, Venezuela, so
Yeah.
on and so forth. So but what we've gotten from our migrants who have completed the process, we've got doctors, we've got professors, we
Mhm.
have generational bloodlines that have sown into the soil of America, that will never be able to actually directly financially monitor, like put that in dollars and cents, you know? And so I think the two are variously separate issues to deal with. But again, kind of leaning towards the Republican aspect of it. Did you come here legally, though?
So okay, I hear what you're saying, right? But all right, couple of points with that. Did you come here legally? Who look at the color of the people that were deported?
Mhm.
I haven't seen, and correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't seen people from European descent being deported who are here illegally. You can't tell me there's nobody here that
I think
illegally from
what's
European
funny.
descent.
You know what? I think someone else brought that up. I
Yeah.
think if you go online, I think you
Mhm.
find like 18 Europeans that got deported. 18.
Polar
18.
actually called me out on that. Polar
Uh-huh.
called me out on that, and I looked it
Oh,
up,
then
and he
here
was
was the
correct.
okay.
Yeah, he was correct. We have actually deported
Europeans.
Europeans, right? Is
I've
it
not
in,
seen that.
And for what?
is it
I
the
would need to
same
know.
amount? Yeah, is it the same amount? No.
Heck
And for
no.
what reason would be
Yeah,
my next question, right?
exactly. Exactly.
So that's one. So you gotta look at who their focus is on, for one. All right. Two, the Republicans campaign on costs. The administration came in talking about the federal deficit was only going up since, ironically, deportations cost money. Now, I will succeed at the point that that could encourage other people to find creative ways to get in the country if they know they're going to get an expedited process for naturalization, citizenship, whatever, to stay. I see that. I can see why that would be an issue. Um, but just those 2 points alone, man. And then if you go back to, you talk about resources and the right people, why do we have, why is that green card or gold card being promoted? Once again, it goes back to what type of people do you want here?
You won't have any pushback from me on
Yeah.
that point, bro.
Nope. None
And
here. None
I
here.
heard somebody else say that if citizenship to America can only cost you $5 million, can I sell my citizenship
Word that.
for
Yeah.
$5 million and go elsewhere?
Mine's a
Only
little
if you're
used. I'll
European
settle for 3
American.
mil.
Only if you're
Mine's a little
European
used.
American. You cannot sell your citizenship if you're a minority and you were born here. You must stay here and endure.
I don't know. I like that statement.
That's why I couldn't sell it on Etsy, man. That's why Etsy denied my application.
Hey,
Right.
in that case, wait a minute. In that case, your DEI is protected.
Yikes.
But it go so something I've been noticing too, going back to our first topic about here you go playing that damn music. About the first topic, which I need that because I got an early morning. But free speech, right? Going back to that. The people that are being targeted are non-citizens. And I don't know if you guys get on TikTok or not, but what I've noticed, the narrative on TikTok is telling people, specifically black and brown people, not to join the protest. So I think there's supposed to be a national one on April the 4th. Don't know the where's or who's the details, but the 4th. But what I've noticed from a lot of I can speak for black fifth, thank you. For black creators are saying, do not go out there and join that protest.
And I agree.
So now one of the things that helped usher in positive change in America, protests of varying degrees of violence and peacefulness, was saying not to do. And I understand the reasons why. It's more dire. We can get wrapped up and get deported, even though we're citizens. It could happen, right? Or shootings, whatever. Martial law can lead to martial law. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
So now we're being domesticated. It's like the American public is being neutered, man. Just go and take us to the vet. Take us to the vet. We're being
you gotta hold something for final thoughts. We got one more thing, one more topic to mention, and then we'll come back to that point, because I think that's a great soapbox and a hill to stand on, and soapbox to preach off of. But before we do that, let's talk about brother Senator Cory Booker's filibuster.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So why are you in disagreement of said filibuster?
Two things that jump out to my mind. It was not a filibuster. What was he stopping? Nothing. There was nothing being voted on at that moment, correct?
No, they're not correct.
Oh, what was being voted on?
There was a vote that took place directly after the filibuster ended. So it was a delay for 25 plus hours. And the vote was on an ambassador for NATO.
That's where he wanted to do it on. Okay. So one, he decided to die on. And then two, his whole, I think I saw a quote that said he stands for any good, what is it? Good, no, not good violence.
Good trouble.
Good trouble.
John Lewis, good trouble. Yeah.
That's the whole reason why that's a good portion of the reason why he lost his presidential bid. He's too much of a good guy. He's not going to get his hands dirty. You got to get your hands dirty to make change, man.
I see what
when I saw that, I wrote him off as weak again.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
If you want to really fight and protest what's going on, why not write letters to some of these federal judges in your states to say, hey, issue a lawsuit to stop this, issue a lawsuit to stop that. We'll promote it on our social medias. We'll go out to these talking shows and talk about it. I haven't seen any of them do that crap. I know they don't have the numbers to do it within the federal confines of Congress, but you can still partition judges and lawyers, hey, take this up. Let's see what happens to stop this or put an injunction on it. What you want to do is beat a record for running your freaking mouth in Congress? Man, get out of here with that, man. But Cory Booker. Man, nice, good trouble. That's why I was shaking my head, man.
I see your point on that. Rich, what you got?
I have mixed feelings.
Okay.
I think Deuce is right. There's something about Cory Booker that doesn't seem sincere. The man is highly intelligent.
Yes.
Yeah.
He graduated from Stanford. He played football. He's similar to Jasmine Crockett. These are some smart African Americans. They're academically are intelligent.
I felt the disagreement when you mentioned Jasmine Crockett. But go ahead.
I respect her.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is they're highly intelligent. When Jasmine Crockett goes off, she's serious. When Cory Booker tries to get loud, it comes across insincere. And I don't know why. He doesn't come across like he's truly sincere. I can't put my hand on it. Now, his filibuster, 25 hours, 5 minutes, beat 24 hours, 18 minutes of the racist called Strom Thurmond when he was fighting back in 1957 to stop the Civil Rights Act that didn't get done until 64 and 65.
Right.
So he overcame a racist who had the longest filibuster. So to some black folks, it means something. To other black folks, not so much.
Mm.
So I think you're right, Mr. Glass, when you say about was it what you do? Was it about the doing the letters to the judges? Who said that?
Yeah.
That was
Yeah, I
dude.
said that. Yeah.
So no opinion.
I,
I have nothing.
God dang, man. I was hoping that y'all would have.
Sided with Booker?
It's not so much siding with Booker.
Okay.
Because what I'm not doing is I'm not siding with the Democratic Party.
Yeah, fair, true, fair.
And that therein lies the difference.
Okay.
I won't side with the Democratic Party.
What about what he did?
I understand what he did. And I think I can agree with Richard that there are points and parts of being genuine that he misses and he lacks, right? And I think he lost it after he got tied up in Washington for 12 plus years. Because at one point, as a mayor of Jersey, he was absolutely genuine, and that's when I started following him, right?
Yeah.
Because he lived on minimum wage, and he used food stamps to see what the impoverished in his city were facing. And that was a genuine thing to do. Was it performative? Also, it was, but he went through with it, right? And if you're going to go through those measures, you have to get something out of it that's going to stick, even if you don't even mean to. You don't have a choice, right? Being poor is not a good feeling, and especially if you're taking that mantle of being poor on voluntarily, right? I watched a lot of the things that he was saying as I drove from Lee Summit back to Kentucky, and I was happy to at least hear. I was happy to at least hear the things that he was saying actually coming from the Senate floor, because I think that was a step forward. And there were various truths that he said during his time on the floor that cannot be taken back, and they were said, and they I hope they resonate. Like when he was talking about senators knowing that things were wrong, the politicians knowing that things were wrong, but simply doing stuff because they're afraid of a billionaire. I'm happy that he at least said it, right? A lot of Americans are feeling that effect because we have politicians who are afraid of a billionaire who earlier on said that if you oppose the current president, well, then I will spend as much as I need to make sure you're removed. So he addressed some things, and I appreciate it from that standpoint, not to mention the wiping the Strom Thurmond stuff out. But it also gave me the ability to see that there were more Republicans that knew that they weren't doing the right thing or committing to the right votes. They knew it. They were because both parties were clapping at various times, and the parliamentarian, however you say it, had to gavel multiple different times and tell them not to applaud what was happening, right? Because that was his job. And so I think, although the 25 hours was largely performative, and what it was supposed to do was give people hope back in the Democratic Party, I think all three of us know that the Democratic Party has no backbone right now.
None. Because Biden said something similar. The Republicans would come around. They didn't.
And they
Schumer
won't.
said something similar at the beginning of this administration. They'll come around. They'll meet us halfway. They didn't.
And they
And
won't.
now Booker is saying that with there's nothing at stake. When Biden said it was before the election. Schumer said it was before the budget supposed showdown. That was never a showdown. And now Booker's doing it over the appointee to the UN, or I forgot which one you said.
Yeah, NATO.
NATO.
But I think it was important for it to be said and to be documented in the will, right? Well, not so much in the will, but on the floor. I think it was important for that to be documented on the floor. And I think in the future, when history has this written down and we finally survive this time, we'll be able to look back and say, oh, wait a minute, we tried this. He talked about it. Not saying that we're giving the Democrats anything or the Republicans anything, but y'all knew what y'all were doing to the American people. Both of y'all knew what y'all were doing to the American people. And neither one of y'all was strong enough to stand up and do the right thing. Neither one of these parties.
Well, again, if you can buy and sell stock in companies and still vote on a bill that's going to affect those companies, nothing matters. Nothing matters. I don't see Senator Booker bringing a bill to stop that.
I don't disagree with you.
It's not going to pass.
It wouldn't. There are too many people.
They tried a couple of times.
You see Senator Booker somewhat changed once he got to DC. I see the same thing in Alexandria. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah, she's going on tour with Bernie, right?
Yeah, but that's a good talk.
She's not as hungry as she once was. She's not as.
Let me put it to you like this. They ran me out of office because I wouldn't act right. I'm a real one. When you get to DC, when you get up in power in politics, they're going to come to you and they're going to buy out your soul.
Yeah. Unless
you self-fund yourself. The one person who ran, and Donald Trump was never, he always took people's money. He's always been about himself. But one politician from years ago ran on his own. His name was Ross Perot. He was the real deal.
I liked Ross.
I forgot about Ross Perot.
I liked Ross.
Because he actually funded his own campaign. He didn't just tell you I'm a billionaire. He funded it. I don't remember Donald Trump funding anything out of his own money.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but I at the end of the day, I think when it's all said and done, I appreciate what Senator Booker did. And I think it's going to have various different reverberations in the future.
So is he going to run for president in 2028?
I don't know. It depends on what Newsom does, right? Because that's.
I don't care what Newsom does. I want to know, will he be one of the candidates? Because he's being smeared on TV.
I don't think he will. I think Hakeem will.
Because the media on certain channels, he's being smeared to know he's just doing that as a publicity stunt for his 2028 presidential run.
And if they were smart, they'd use that as a strategy to push him out front while they actually begin to set up their actual nominee. But they're not going to do that.
He's not strong enough. I like Hakeem. New face.
No, I don't like him at all.
I like him better. Let me say this. I like him better than Booker. Just because Booker's been there, lost. I think that ship's sailed for now.
Congressman Hakeem Jeffries is a very intelligent person. You ever talk to somebody and you know that if you was into a fight, you couldn't call them to come get you?
Come help you out. They'll come pick you up off the ground, but they ain't throwing no blows.
You think Hakeem's like that?
Some people, as long as they're very calm and they're very collective and they seem like they're good people will vote for them. But them ain't leaders. Nothing about him inspires me to want to follow him. Nothing.
This is a hot take, but I think I can elaborate if y'all want me to. I think for a better America, I think it's got to be a white, moderate, slightly liberal leaning man that wins the next election.
We're gonna pin that one too. Now
listen, don't say this is what I want. I'm saying for the betterment of the whole, that's what it's gonna have to be.
I think it takes regardless of their color or their sex, it takes someone that's truly sincere, that's willing to fight the status quo, if they're a Democrat, they're willing to admit the things in the Democratic Party that they have wrong, starting with the border, starting with the issue on transgender girls playing in boys sports, something that girls sports that Gavin Newsom has already tried to jump on. You have to admit what areas you're wrong in, and then the areas that you're right in, hold firm.
I'm with you on that, Rich, but that's not gonna happen, bro.
Oh, yes,
It's
it
not gonna
can.
be a black man or a black woman.
Wait a
It's
minute.
gonna be.
Yes, we can.
Vote
I'm
me
not
in.
saying that we can't.
Yeah.
I'm talking about. This is specifically what I'm saying. I'm just speaking on the very next one. Now, after that, anything goes.
No,
Okay.
no. This is the time when you find out. Don't show up when everything is going great. This is where I give President Obama much ado. When he showed up in 2008, the country was in a shitter.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
They told him, "You don't be the first black president in a situation like this." Oh, yes, you do. Yes, you do. Because if you show up when the sun's shining, who cares? But when you show up when it's raining, when there's thunderstorms, a tornado, a hurricane, a natural disaster, you show up as the leader. I feel like I'm talking to myself. You show up as the leader, you'll make history, and they'll never forget you.
Different climates.
I'm gonna have to think about how you laid that out, Deuce. And the reason why I gotta think about it is I gotta see how we finna look in the next 4 or 5 months. Tariffs just dropped again, right? Or increased.
Liberation Day. Yeah.
Liberation Day, right? So we just threw out a bunch more tariffs, and it's.
I tell you what, with these tariffs, the tariffs is the first one. If they make any cuts or any type of deductions to Social Security and Medicaid, that the Republican Party is swearing, they're swearing on their mother's grave that they're not going to.
But they don't even like their mamas.
Why the same?
Thank you for walking into that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
They
you.
already dismantling the health organizations. We'll talk about that. We got plenty of topics for next week.
Because it's they don't even like their mamas. They don't, so they can swear on their mamas all they want to. It ain't gonna mean a hill of beans. But final thoughts. Deuce, I know you gotta go. You looking tired. Are you TDY?
No, we'll be. Nah, I had to stop because I was too far away from the house. So I had to work out here at Greg Adams.
Hey, I got you.
Gotcha. Anyways, what was I about to say? Listen, I'm going back to my hill on education. I think right now it's incumbent upon us to be educated, to see what we can do to navigate this new landscape, how to better ourselves. Right now, you got to become smarter, you got to become wiser, you got to become more creative. And I just want to clarify my statement. I'm not saying the black man, black woman, Indian man, minority can't become the next president. I'm just saying for what's the word I'm looking for? How divided the country is. And man, it's gonna be, I don't know, it's gonna be tough. That's all I'm saying. But bottom line, educate yourselves, find a way to creatively create the America you want to create.
Golly, that's, oh my God, that last part's a mouthful. But we'll touch back on that. I should have written that down because we can't do that anymore. But go ahead, Rich.
Well, as the president of Local 1000.
Let me put this up real quick. That's for Rich. I don't know why it's showing my face when I do that.
Hey.
So I didn't get no votes, no recommendations. Ouch. I'm the Ross Perot in this group. I see.
Oh no.
As the president, I want y'all to hear this. As the president of Local 1000, and I hope everyone on Facebook hears me say this, because I'm still the president. In America, you must stand for what is right. You must not transgender the truth. There are no perfect people. And in our great country, even though we have character faults in our foundation, we still will keep hope alive. We will not quit. We will not give up. We will not surrender or concede to any terrorists. foreign or domestic. And so sometimes those things become quite subjective. We do have laws in place, but oftentimes our judges are human beings. And even though they're supposed to administer law, they're sometimes allow their personal feelings to get involved, particularly in today's society. However, I still believe in my country. I believe in our citizens. And I believe in a greater tomorrow. I'm Richard Lewis Brown, your local 1000 president. If you don't like it, take me to court.
Don't take him to court, yo.
No, take me to court. I want to.
Don't say that.
Go ahead.
Just,
I'm already in court. So what you waiting on? Man up.
Just tweet him.
Don't treat Richard Real 7437. Don't tweet me. Don't go on my Facebook page, RL Brown. No. Come at me in court. I'm begging you. Don't transgender the truth.
I don't even know what that means.
What does that mean? That means don't take the truth and make it a lie and then say it's okay to compete. No, there's a right way and there's a wrong way. There's a boy and there's a girl. And now if the boy wants to be a girl, that's his freedom. And I won't trample on his freedom. And I'll die for that boy who wants to be a girl. I'll die for him. Oh, yes, I will.
I like transgender the truth now that you broke it
Okay?
down. I'm about to steal that phrase.
Don't transgender the truth. What is right is right. What is wrong is wrong. I am the local 1000 president.
Not the photo op.
It was a photo op. It happened.
Photo op on stream.
My final thoughts are simple. We saw a billionaire try to buy state Supreme Court seats. And I don't think that this is a turning of the tide. I think this is going to make him double down, but I am still proud of the citizens who did not allow their voices to be purchased and silenced.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a lot of fights that are coming up for the American public, the American citizen. And a lot of this is going to be fought against a billionaire who has what seems to be an endless stream of resources. Remember, this is the same guy that only pays $1 for his Tesla building in New York. This is a guy who says that his sector of federal government is the most transparent, but has hidden the most and also has had the most mistakes when it comes to their reports. This is the guy who has recently said that Social Security is a Ponzi scheme. We have to fight back against this. We cannot allow. Yeah, we cannot allow this to happen. Right? We've got elders that are relying on their Social Security checks. If we have to measure our society by how we treat our elders, aligned with his rhetoric, America, we're gonna fail. He doesn't care about you all. He'll never care about the American citizen. It's not in his, he doesn't know how. He doesn't even know how to actually say it genuinely. He touches his and he taps his fingers and he comes out with this fictitious way of speaking to make his dumb ass sound smart. He's not a fucking genius. He's a piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he is. And he's an African American. He needs to get his ass deported. He's
African.
Okay. Yep. You know what? You're right on that. He's an Afrikaans. Mm-hmm. So he still needs to get his ass deported. That's what I believe. He's infringing on the basic rights of American society and American citizens. He is not like us. He is not an American citizen. I'm gonna tell you something that's gonna sound weird, but it's true. I would rather fight against a KKK member from America than what I would some apartheid baby all day. He's a fucking apartheid baby. I have no respect for him whatsoever, especially after seeing the bullshit he did in one of our states trying to buy a Supreme Court seat. How disrespectful to the American population, the American public is. He already called us stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stand this guy. I can't stand what he's making the face of America look like.
Isn't that Walt's
Allegedly,
state? Walt's is
allegedly,
Wisconsin, right?
he's gonna be
I
out
wonder
of
why he chose
office.
that state.
So allegedly, he'll be out by May. Allegedly,
Yeah.
That can be extended, unfortunately.
that's what.
That can be extended.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't. We can take a bet on the show. We'll do that next episode. I don't think it'll be out by May.
Okay.
Remember this dude, he ain't finna go away. This motherfucker dropped a $250 million. He took a chainsaw on stage and let everybody know that he's willing and ready to cut. That it was symbolic of literally tearing up the middle class and
Now-
putting his foot on the lower class even more.
Here's the funny thing about this. You are absolutely right. But when you run for office, or you help somebody run for office, you're gonna do some stuff. Either you're gonna be really professional, or you're gonna do some slick stuff. Elon Musk holding that chainsaw, will last 100 years.
Oh, absolutely.
It'll
Absolutely.
last 100 years.
And it's not going to do any justice for him.
No.
That's one of the things that was being run up north, and that's how one of the reasons why he lost. His name is becoming synonymous with mud, and
But it's
anybody
And
alleged.
so bad publicity is like good publicity.
Yeah,
Money comes. You know, I was watching that Lance Armstrong on CNN. And he said, I didn't take no steroids. When the truth is, the whole cycling world takes steroids. That's just the
Okay.
culture.
sure.
And the culture that he believes he's in, it's his way or the highway, which is just similar to President Trump's.
Yeah.
And they feel that as white men, they have the ultimate power.
We done went from final thoughts to final suffix post thoughts.
I know. I was trying to get through my final thought. I was really just simply lamenting the intrusion of the billionaire class, the bold billionaire class, into our daily lives, into 80,000 government employees being fired, into 20 some odd thousand of those 80,000 employees being veterans. Not to
Agreed.
mention the other
Agreed.
umpteen thousands veterans that are being fired and citizens that are being fired because of a stupid little motherfucker that calls himself Big Balls.
The health services department is being dismantled.
You know what they did? You know, the government is not run as a business, but you can't tell certain people that. And so does the government, waste some money at times? Yeah, every household in America wastes money at times. But it's tasked of helping those in need and protecting us and doing the things we can't do for ourselves. President Trump and the people he associates himself with, some of the Republicans, feel like you can run the government as a business, but this was never a business.
It can't.
People are not a business.
Yeah. And the reason why I'm consistently saying Elon Musk is because his has been the most performative that I've seen.
Yeah.
That's why. Chainsaw, and he even went to Wisconsin with a fucking cheese hat, dancing on stage like a fool.
And that should tell you something about the age of President Trump. If this had been 15, 20 years ago, President Trump would never allow no one to be on his same platform. But he's got up in age and he's kind of lost some.
Wow. I ain't think about that.
Yeah, so he's a June Gemini. I know my own. So and look, Mr. Glass and I are both June Geminis, and so is Trump. President Trump, he's a June Gemini. So it's easy for me to spot my own. No problem.
All I'm saying, America, at the end of the day, this is our country. And there
Watch
is
that hand. Watch that hand. It went up.
I know, right?
Yeah, it went up
from
the
my heart
corner.
to
You can't.
right? I know, right? And all I'm saying is we have to make sure we maintain we have to maintain our country. We cannot give it over. It's not been a perfect country. It'll never be a perfect country, but we can all do the best we can to make it better. Unless we allow outsiders to come in and tear it down from the inside out. And that's what Elon Musk is. That's what Elon Musk is.
Okay.
So those are my final thoughts. It took a while to get there, but we got there. With that being said, America, look, we back. We took 2 weeks off, had family emergencies, but we back, and we finna be in y'all's face with these topics and hurting people's feelings and getting pissed off and drinking and having a good time and hopefully avoiding tornadoes at 3 o'clock in the morning. So wish me luck. Wish me luck. With that being said, good people, thank y'all for coming out, and always, as always, God bless and good night.